Making observations from time series data. So, today's lesson, we are going to learn how to make different observations from a time series data graph using some of our key terms to describe those observations that we can see. So, as you can see down here, the key terms that we will be covering is whether there is an overall increasing or decreasing trend in our time series graph, whether there is a seasonal pattern that's occurring, and any kind of large peaks or troughs that should be noted from the graph. We will be using some graphs that I've gathered from Google Trends. So, Google Trends is a database that stores how frequently different words are being searched in Google. So, the first word that I searched up was potatoes, and it was over a 5-year period, and it is a worldwide search. So, the data was collected worldwide. And as you can see here, in terms of looking at the overall trend, or my first observation, is that overall there is a slight decrease in the number of times the word potato is being searched on Google because the start of the graph is slightly higher than the end of the graph on this side. So overall there is a decreasing trend. In terms of seasonality, you can see that there is sort of a common pattern occurring here. So the same sort of time each year, there seems to be a peak in the search term for potatoes, and that might mean that there's a seasonality associated with potatoes. It might become more popular to search potatoes during a time when you might be celebrating something like Thanksgiving or Christmas, and you're looking for potato recipes, or whether it's like harvesting season for potatoes. And something that is interesting to note is that the peaks start out a little higher, and they've actually decreased over time. So last year, the word potato wasn't searched as frequently as in previous years, and you may want to research why that is. That might be a flow-on effect from COVID. Fewer families are gathering, and therefore maybe fewer potato recipes are being searched. Another time series graph that I've got here is I searched the term Britney Spears, and that is also over a 5-year time frame. You can see here that there is overall, from the start of the graph to the end of the graph, a decreasing trend, okay, but it's very subtle. There is no seasonality pattern occurring here, probably because Britney Spears isn't linked to something that occurs every year or a seasonal kind of association. But there are some interesting peaks to note. So you can see here that there are 4 peaks, the biggest one being just before February 2020. So what you would do in terms of your report is you would research these dates and see why Britney Spears might have been a popular search term to search in Google Trends during those times. Here I've searched the word dance. So you can see here this is an overall decreasing trend. Again, no seasonality. And not really that much in terms of interesting peaks or troughs, although it does seem to decrease slightly faster towards the end of the graph. Another one is NBA. So NBA is an overall increasing trend. All right, so it starts off lower than where it ends on the graph. It has definitely got a seasonality pattern, and that's probably to do with the competition occurring at the same time every year. And it is also increasing. The peaks are increasing over time, so that is becoming more popular over time in terms of a search term. And then finally here, I've got Miley Cyrus. So again, if we were to look at the overall pattern, you can see the subtle decrease over time. Again, no seasonality in this graph, but definitely some interesting peaks to talk about. And I will go through a worked example with this graph in your next task.